we are now talking about the role of HR as a strategic partner. I think the presentation is available on your screen, I hope. So HR as a strategic partner. This elevated or the additional role that has now become part of the HR functions is that they are now very much in the panel which decides the strategy that the business is going to follow. Earlier, as we have mentioned, it used to be like the strategies of that the business will adopt in the future were decided by the board or the higher up echelons in the scheme of things, and HR was given the requisition to prepare employees in order to take up those functions as required by the changed business models and so on. But now HR people themselves have to have at least a fair idea about the business and the trends that are appearing in the business. They have become part of it because, see, all of that data crunching and analysis, trend analysis via the data, all these things, they are party to it. It is happening in their, they have enough knowledge about it. So when the decisions are being taken, there would be someone representing the HR people, maybe a vice president HR or some such designation, who will also be able to put in their opinion as to how the strategies need to be played out, what is the readiness of the staff, or what time frame they might require in order to prepare the existing staff or for reskilling them. Or you see, now what would be the new induction of employees that they would need. All things should be put on the platter in the board itself during this decision making process. So HR plays that role, and then they have enough time to start preparing. So they are part of the conversation. What is going to be the future? If there is any change being taking place in the vision, and accordingly what alternate missions that they have to follow. Okay, so the overall strategy of the business that is done in the presence of this HR people. Dave Ulrich, he has prepared this structure or this model that one HR is doing the day-to-day operational aspect, day-to-day operations, how people have to function, that they are doing. So that role remains intact. It's been the role from before. That role remains intact. But this is the additional role, the futuristic or the strategic partnership role, and they are having to build a bridge between the people and the processes, the emerging processes and the people. So they are the strategic partner. They are deciding on what what is the future of the business, how it is going to function. They have to act as change agents because they will take suitable measures to change people to adopt those new processes. They are also employee champions. Employee champions means they will also understand what are the concerns that the employees feel, their fears, their resistance, their uncertainties, So a lot of hand holding is required. So this also they have to take care of. And implementation of these changes, administrative expert. So all these have emerged, not continue, these have emerged as additional functions of HR. So the HR person of yesteryear and the HR person of today, there has been a substantial change in the role that they are expected to play. That means the traits that they need to carry, the expertise that they need to bring in, that has also increased manifold. So this is the strategic player thing. Now within the HR department also, there need to be people of different specialities. That means HR experts also have to have certain domain speciality. So within the set, you have a subset. Similarly, the HR department should be comprised of people with different specialities, like the resourcing expert. The resourcing expert is somebody who is able to identify that who among the recruits have the potential to be a valuable asset for the company. Sort of like finding out that which of the person, if you have a jar of pebbles and within that there is what we call money, or something that is valuable, they have to be able to pick that up from among the pebbles, like that. So the resource expert must have the ability to identify talent. The developer, now this is a very crucial role, and we have put in red a term called Pygmalion Effect, which will be discussed in greater detail. In fact, over and above what we discuss here, we will also provide you with additional notes to illustrate better what the Pygmalion Effect is. This is so very important that we are discussing it, and it is also a part which is very often asked in our questions. Pygmalion Effect. So we need to understand this well. So the developer, every HR professional must believe in the Pygmalion Effect. This is something that they should really, really understand well, and they should believe it from their heart, the Pygmalion Effect. Then we need to have behavioral specialists. HR professionals should be good mind reader and specialist in body language, because they have to conduct a lot of interviews. For example, using the BI technique, behavioral experts are needed. So they could be coming from within the HR team. For various interviews, for various attitude reading, this behavioral experience or background in understanding behavioral aspects must be strong in HR people. And value creator. Individuals have to create value. HR must necessarily take on responsibility of creating value for the entire department with the organization. So these are subspecialties within the personnel who are recruited as for the HR department. Okay. Now let us see what we mean by the Pygmalion Effect. The Pygmalion Effect, this was developed by Robert Rosenthal and Leonard Jacobson way back in the 1960s. And this was actually a part of their development from this article written by J. Starling Livingston. This is a background. It came out as a publication in the Harvard Business Review. It's a very prestigious journal. And this article was about a mythical sculptor. It is said that the sculptor had created the bust of a woman, and it was so beautiful that although it was a marble statuette only, the sculptor felt literally in love with her, as if she was a living woman. That meaning to say that you have such a great attachment for something you have created. Based on this, this Rosenthal and Leonard Jacobson, they said that it is possible to create something great with great love and affection. This was the sum total of from Livingston's article. This is a sum total that they got, Rosenthal and Jacobson, and they elaborated on it. Now, when they put it in perspective, they said that when you have very positive expectations, like this sculptor, when he was sculpting, probably he had thought that he will create a masterpiece. With that intention, he had concentrated on making out that statuette. And ultimately, it was so beautiful that it was something that he could not separate from, like that. Here, in the context it is used in HR, is this, that if you have to create something great, you must you must give it extra special attention. You must also set the standards very high. Here, the guidelines that are being set for managers, this is particularly in respect of the new inductees. The new inductees who come into the organization, means new recruits. The new recruits, they are somewhat uncertain of their capabilities. They do not know how much they can perform. There, if we can just polish them very well, and if we can set good standards for them, if we put them under the leadership of people who have a very positive view of the performance in the organization, who are themselves very enthusiastic performers, and they set standards for the new employee, say, you can perform, you can do better, this is what I expect of you, and give them the necessary guidance, what happens is this, that these new inductees also, they start living up to the expectation, and thereby, if right from the beginning they gain confidence that their ability to perform is very high, that means they're able to set good benchmarks or high benchmarks from them for themselves, then in the long run they will be champions for the organization. Basically, this is what is the idea behind talking about the Pygmalion effect. On the other hand, suppose the new inductee comes into in an environment where the boss is very, very negative, lacks in enthusiasm, and feels that there is hardly any prospect in this office or hardly any probability of growth. Then the scenario is quite different. I mean, rather opposite. Nobody feels very enthused, and they are also not setting very high standards for the individuals to follow, nor are they trying to guide them to any height. In that sense, what happens? If the initiation is like this, then these people will always keep themselves restricted to only doing routine performance and will never want to exert themselves for higher level of performance. Just like in little babies, we see now that when they are trying out new things, but they're uncertain, they are sometimes falling also. An encouraging set of parents, they will ask the baby to come forward, give them appreciation. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. All these things. So the baby quickly learns the steps and explores more, becomes more curious and wants to do more. Whereas if the child falls and then you just beat the floor and say the floor is responsible and okay, now you hold on to something, don't try and stand up, what will happen? Their self-confidence is shaken and they will not try to go forward as much that they are capable of. So particularly in the apprentice stage, you remember in the career stage, the apprentice stage, what were the 4 stages? Apprentice, colleague, like that, mentor, sponsor, we have talked about. So in the apprentice stage in particular, the guidelines, the HR should ensure that they are putting the new inductees under very, very enthusiastic and capable managers as far as possible, so that special attention on an employee's first year, because that's when expectations are set. You'll find that those who have sort of tutored under exceptional managers, those employees themselves become very, very confident, and in their later years, when they take on charge, they are able to deliver much better. So make sure the new hires get matched with outstanding supervisors and who set high expectations for them. That means HR must always be in the lookout to see that who are the exceptional managers. And in fact, how managers themselves can be enthused, that is also a journey that HR is always trying to promote them into. So that because when you join a new organization, definitely you will be put under the leadership of somebody. You will not be in the leadership position initially to begin with. So the first leaders that you work under are very, very important. What managers expect of subordinates and the way they treat them largely determine their performance and career progress. You yourself also might have seen that even if you have not worked under very exceptional managers right in the beginning of your career, and maybe, sort of, for example, doing your JAIIB or CAIIB, or even going for a career progression, promotion test, you will have some managers who will always be encouraging you, you must sit for the exam. Okay, I'll help you wherever you find some difficulty. You can take some extra time off. I'll make sure that you get some time to study and all. Some people are so supporting. If they are like that, even though you might have not that self belief, will I be able to do it? And you may have slacked somewhat. These people will prod, and these people will help you believe that yes, you can do it. So when that Philip is there, then people start exerting themselves, and once they start doing, what happens? Their performance, and they realize that yes, I'm able to do this performance. That enthuses them to do even higher, give even higher level of performance. That cycle is set into motion. So unique characteristic of a superior manager is the ability to create high performance expectations that subordinates fulfill. When high performance standards are put in, you want to live up to that expectation. On the reverse, if no such expectation is put in, or at your slightest mistake, you are very sort of brutally criticized. You can't even do this. What more to expect? If that is the attitude, then immediately your self confidence lacks, and you will become so, you will not want to take any extra step unless it is absolutely needed. So your initiative will diminish. That means less effective managers fail to develop similar expectations, and therefore the productivity of the subordinates suffers. So the environment the manager creates in the workplace is very crucial in the delivery that they get from the subordinates, particularly the newcomers. The subordinates, more often than not, appear to do what they believe they are expected to. So if you set high expectations, and by setting high expectations, it is not that they are always capable of it by themselves. You have to do that hand holding, you have to do that mentoring. So the manager, the superior manager, will extend themselves. And thereby, what we are getting, newer and newer batches of highly confident employees. And naturally, if we can improve those sets of employees, the future of the organizations becomes secure, because they will retain that urge to be better performers. So the initiation is very important. That is why when we had talked about that people with internal locus of control and external locus of control. Anybody remembers about the locus of control that were discussed in your ABM studies? Internal locus and external locus. Naveen, would you remember something of that? Internal and external locus. People who are are driven by internal locus, they consider that they have to take the initiative for getting the work done. So whatever the obstacles or whatever the challenges, they will try and exert and find solutions so that they can do the contribution. Whereas the external people who are driven by this external locus, they may have equal capability. Capability wise, there may not be much difference, but they expect the external environment to give them the conducive situation where they can start performing. So delivery wise, the internal locus person is much more capable of overcoming obstacles that come their way. Here you see, this is where we can also relate with the Pygmalion effect. Just like we have said that the background why people are internal or external locus relates back to their childhood, how they were either encouraged to take on obstacles. That means take on obstacles, not very huge obstacles. Like I was just saying, if a child is taking the first steps, they will slip and they will sometimes fall. If the parent is encouraging and said, no, get up and you can do it again. And then they again take steps and then they believe, yes, I can do it. So challenges are surmountable. That is something they learn in their very babyhood. Just similarly, when an employee is new to the organization, it is in the babyhood state in the organization, in the apprentice stage. At that time, those who are guiding, that means the manager, though if he or she says, yes, of course, I'm giving you this assignment, you can do it. So first of all, the fellow will think, okay, let me try hard. They're expecting that I will be able to do it. If there are any flaws or if there are any setbacks, the manager will be there. Don't worry, I'm there to help you out. I'm there to give you all sorts of suggestions. You can come back to me for any difficulty you're finding. Naturally, the fellow will be enthused and wants to do it. So just like people who have got this encouragement were encouraged in their babyhood days are generally found to be internal locus controlled people in their adulthood. Similarly, in the workplace also, a Pygmalion effect or this prod from the back and high belief in your, they are setting high belief in you. They're saying, I believe that you can do it. It is a very strong, what we can say, sort of a pull which make people live up to that expectation. And it doesn't have to be 100% always that person can succeed. But for that, they are neither criticized or belittled. Rather, they are given the ropes that I'm telling you how to do this. Okay, I'm hand holding and you can go forward. Then what happens? That fellow gains in confidence very early in the workplace, and thereby in the rest of their career progression, that tenet lives very strongly in their minds. That is why HR has to make sure or must try and make sure that new incumbents who come in are not placed with somebody who is already, phased out or somebody who's not having any enthusiasm for delivering anything. If the boss himself or herself is laid back or doesn't want to exert, what enthusiasm that they can provide to the newcomers? See, this is the Pygmalion effect. And if Pygmalion effect is practiced truly in the organization, you will always have a good set of employees who will later on take on the higher positions. They will climb the ladder, so they will also continue the same type of practice for the newcomers that will follow them.